What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Ho the Husband Podcast. I'm your host, Terry DeRon. I got both of my co-hosts on the line with me tonight. I got my man, Jay Bavo in the building. What's good, bro?
Not much, man. Glad to be back on after a couple of weeks here. Glad to get this thing rolling, chop it up with the fellas. But want to quickly remind you can catch us on TikTok as well. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Ho the Husband Podcast. And for anyone that's interested in promos or shout outs, you can shoot us a DM on IG at Ho the Husband Podcast, as well as shoot us an email at hoetohusbandpodcast@gmail.com. All right, T.
I also got my man SD chopping it up with us. What's good, man?
Nothing, man. Excited about this episode and our guest. So we'll see how that go. But I want to give a shout out to Brother Soul Productions for always keeping the background audio fresh. And I want to remind you all to donate to the Ho the Husband Podcast on Cash App and PayPal. All right, T.
I want to remind everybody that y'all can catch the audio playback of the podcast every Monday afternoon at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time on thecore94.com. This episode is titled Times Have Changed. We're just going to have a discussion about how dating and relationships have evolved over time with the advent of technology. So this should be a real interesting conversation. But y'all know how we do around here, man. We like to start things off by discussing stuff we've seen trending or on our timelines. And so we got a couple interesting videos this week. This first video is a viral video where it was a woman talking about the limited options that women really have. Let's take a look.
You know what I realized with us women, and I think that I was like this at one point in time too. We equate our value to how many men want to sleep with us, how many men are in our DMs, and how many proposals we got. Not marriages, proposals. But here's the thing. If all these guys want us and we want none of those guys, then we have no options. And I think that's like a hard pill for us to swallow. Like, we don't want to admit that, but we know deep down inside, like, we go to our message requests or our DMs or our text messages, and it's just full of guys that want to sleep with us or, talk about our bodies. We realize, like, damn, we ain't got no options. Because really, you only consider the guy's options that you actually want. Am I right or am I right?
All right. I don't completely agree with how she phrased it, because the women having sexual options like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that they lack options. I don't think that they have realistic options. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of women are just delusional about the criteria that they have set for men. Those guys that are in those DMs that they meeting and at the bar and all these, a lot of those men are husband material men that probably have decent jobs and will make good boyfriends or husbands. But the perspective that a lot of women have on men and what their expectations are doesn't allow them to see the regular guy as somebody they could date.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. And if they don't see him as somebody that they can date, he's not an option to them. They just don't understand what their options really are for them. Like, they overestimate or overvalue themselves in the dating market, and don't really quite understand how men work. They don't understand, or they don't want to accept that the older they become, the lower their options become. And the harder it is for them to get the type of man that they really want out here. And when you talk to these here women and you ask them about the type of man they want, they out here looking for the unicorn man. That's really what it is. They looking for the top guy, and they all believe that they are a top woman. And that's what kills them out here, and the guys too, because those regular guys that's in their vicinity that they should actually be going after, they don't even see them dudes. They want the guy that's making $100,000, $200,000, but they really look like the chick that should be getting a $60,000 man. Like, that's their guy. And a lot of women hate to hear that because it puts so much onus on their looks and their shape. But that's just the reality of it, regardless of how they feel about it.
I know.
So So, hey, they sex options and relationship options are two different options. If you don't know that by 9, you 30 plus years old. You got some issues.
But
So,
I think with a lot of these women, it's an overinflated sense of self, especially with the advent of social media, with the Instagram, Snapchats, TikToks. They have hundreds of DMs. And some of the better looking ones, the celebrities, they got thousands of DMs, I'm sure, right?
yeah.
So they think those are all options, and like you said, almost 80%, and that might be a low ball number, if not more. Those are the guys that they do not want here. So
right, but the DMs when they get a DM from a guy with a check mark or a dude who got a lot of followers, because they look at your profile. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yes,
if you're a dude that you got a handsome profile pic in your circle, whatnot, the chicks that you DM are most likely going to at least look. You know how you can read a message without actually touching it or clicking on it. So it just, what she's talking about is the only people that can change it is the women, is because they're the ones that don't have the realistic perspective on reality. Guys, in this generation, a lot of them are too shy to approach women in real life, and they have limitations for things that make it more difficult for them. But the women that think like she do, like where I don't have no options in the city, that has to tell you that something's wrong with your evaluation system.
Mm-hmm. Because it don't matter where you go, you ain't gonna have options in another city either. If you evaluate men based off of superficial things, I mean, you're gonna have the same thing whether you go to another city. I hear women say, "Oh, it ain't no men." It's plenty, but the dudes you want to date are very few, and those dudes are so in demand that they are gonna be patient and wait really for what they want out here, and it might not be you. 9 times out of 10, you gotta vibe with all these other women that's younger, prettier, freakier, more feminine, submissive, raised to be a wife or whatever the case. You have to compete with her, and you got a lot of women that don't feel like they have to compete, so they come out here and behave how they want, do what they want, and expect a man to just be a man is just supposed to be so ecstatic to get a 4. No ma'am. and he a top earning guy. No dude like that is ecstatic to get a woman that's below average or average.
I think a lot of these women expect men to think they should just be happy that he's getting sexual access to her, not even getting it and nothing else.
Yeah, but a dude like that, he got sexual access anytime he wants.
Exactly. Oh, no question.
He ain't got to wait on her, or she ain't got diamonds in her coochie where he got, oh man, she got diamonds in there.
You let them tell it. That's what they think. You let them tell it.
Of course they do.
See, it's like they fail to be able to see things from the perspective of the guy that they actually like. You know what I mean? Like, because I think that it's really a reflection in just how drastically different men and women just approach the opposite sex in general. Because I think most guys look at it from she just has to be good enough perspective. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't have to shoot for you don't have to be a 10 in every category, but like we talk about on a regular, a 6 or a 7 with some flexible, you can jazz it up when we going somewhere nice, and depending on what you do with your hair and how you look. But there's nothing wrong with that. That's above average. That's a good space to be in.
Here's the difference between what men and women got, right? See, men have a range of the women that they would date, right? Most women have a type of man that they want or that they would date.
Yeah, and they don't understand their range. They just understand their type. I want this type. Okay, but is that your range? And by range, women have to separate 2 things, and that's the sex range and the relationship range, because those ranges are drastically different. You might be a woman that's a 4, right, and out of shape, or a 5 and out of shape, or whatever, and you can sleep with a dude that's a 9. Like, he'll blow your back out and take the neck from you all day long. But when it comes to that relationship, 9 times out of 10, he's probably not gonna choose you to be with. So that's not really your range when it comes to relationships. If you want dick, sure, your range is unlimited as a woman for dick, because a lot of dudes will give it to you. Like, So what?
But see, a lot of them don't realize it though. They lack the self-awareness to see how they're actually viewed on the dating market. So shout out to you and Trail for creating a page to actually give them some real-time, candid perspectives on how men actually see things.
Yeah, y'all about to do this live a little later on, man. You know what y'all so remind y'all got Shannon Sharp and Ocho Cinco. Y'all like the relationship version of that, man. That's what it reminds me of. But great stuff to y'all fellas, man.
I appreciate y'all for mentioning that. And for you all out there, it's called Marriage or Mattress. All right. So get that on Instagram and YouTube. Marriage or Mattress. No spaces. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like I said, but just the fact that a lot of women, they know what they're doing when they post the sexual images and the thirst traps and show up their skirt and all these type of things. They know exactly why they're doing it, but it's like they question your intelligence by trying to make it seem like they're doing it for some other motivational reason. Yeah, like come on,
you posting
man.
your booty for you? You've been with it for 37 years. Right. You know what your booty look like. What you mean you posting it for you? You posting that so you can get these here dudes, these simps in your DMs and all under your pictures. That's what you posting it for. So if you're gonna sexualize yourself, don't be upset when men sexualize you.
Yeah, so you gotta be able to accept. Look, the thing about it though is, and it comes back to accountability. You can live however you want, you can post however you want, but you have to live with the consequences. And that's the part that they want to avoid. Like one of the consequences of making yourself super sexualized and very desirable by every man that looks at you is the men that you want are probably not going to see you as somebody that they want a wife to take home to their family. Mm-hmm. It is what it is.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is.
Let's keep things rolling, man. Now, this next video is a video that I came across where a guy was actually breaking down the difference between simply giving an apology and actually showing accountability for a digression or something that you've done to somebody. Let's take a look.
An apology is not necessarily accountability, and many times we accept someone's apology because we want reconciliation in the relationship so badly, or we want the relationship to match an image in our mind, and we can accept apologies without demanding accountability. But accepting an apology too quickly doesn't always mean that the other person is accountable. And not accepting an apology quickly doesn't mean that you're immature or holding on to an offense. An apology must be coupled with accountability, and accountability is the action of the words, I apologize. I want to see your apology carried out by the way that you walk and the way that you live. So I hear your apology, but I pay attention to your walk after the apology. Because I'm sorry can't heal my heart. I'm sorry can't heal the wound. I'm sorry can't heal the offense. But your changed behavior can begin the process.
Facts, man. The way he broke it down so eloquently, it's real. Changed behavior or not necessarily changed behavior. Sometimes you can offend somebody and what they actually need is context or a explanation of what you were thinking and feeling at the time and how you expressed it. Because I think most guys can attest to this. A lot of times our words get twisted and treated as if the most negative version or most negative possible version of what we said is what we meant. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times you can offend someone, but that should be, if you're dealing with somebody that you actually care about and actually respects you, that's something that should be able to be resolved with a simple conversation.
Yeah, I agree with him 100% because, hey man, all of us have had somebody tell us they sorry out their mouth, but then their actions remain the same, or they did the same thing right behind that. And some stuff is kind of you do unconsciously knowing kind of what you're doing, because some things are kind of like behavior. But the act of trying to change behavior yeah, is what accountability looks like, because you're trying to talk a different way to somebody, or you're trying to approach things different, so now you don't get an attitude as quick, and you're trying to make sure that your words are not misconstrued, so you want to carefully do things or be more respectful with how you handle certain things. So if you continue to go at the route that you were going, and like, forget that, whatever, and you don't make a conscious effort to do it, then it was just an apology and no real accountability for it. So because you're not making no moves and taking no actions to actually change it. So I agree with the dude 100%. Like you said, the way he broke it down, I never really thought about it like that, honestly. But yeah, it's got a lot of truth to it, because like I said, people say whatever they want out their mouth. It's the same way when somebody cheat or something like that. Women ask me, should they forgive a man that cheat? How do they know different things about him? Well, it depends on his actions. If he cheating and he ain't trying to do the steps in order to reconcile or make right his wrong, or try to, then he not really taking accountability for what he did. He just said he was sorry, but he don't have no accountability for that. So, but if he's trying to do the things, here, baby, here go my password, we can make moves and do things like this, then that man is trying to have some accountability. Yeah, for what he did, because he know he messed up. So that type of guy, that's how you know. So I agree.
No, definitely agree. Definitely was a great breakdown. The action, you got to match the words here. Just tell somebody you're sorry, then you going right back the very next day, not taking any corrective action to correct the behavior. Then was the apology sincere? Not really. To me, it's meaningless. If the action don't match words, then the apology is meaningless. But like SD said, it can be subconscious. But as long as you're taking action to correct that behavior there.
Yeah, I mean, the effort goes a long way in any relationship. You know what I mean? Like somebody showing you that they're actively trying to improve a situation or rectify a problem, that never goes out of style. But a lot of times what guys deal with is deflection. You know what I'm saying? Like, or excuses, where they'll tell you what you want to hear, or they'll say what they're supposed to say in that scenario, but it's not followed by the action. Like, how many guys have told a woman that she was gaining weight? You know what I'm saying? That I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna hit the gym and all that. Well, a girl that if he walked in the kitchen and saw you pouring out your soda and throwing away some desserts, and then started seeing you work out 3 times a week, that's active change. You know what I mean? Like, that makes it more tolerable for you to deal with something that you're unhappy with or not. You know what I'm saying? Like we were talking about earlier, the range that guys have. Like, when you getting out that range, he's gonna tell you what you need to do to get back in it. And as long as you're receptive to that and put it forth the effort, you should be fine.
Yeah, I saw something today where the man said 85% of men don't bicker and just say things about any little thing when they with a woman. When a man mentions something to you, it means that he really wants you to change this, because at some point it could ruin the relationship. Like, so if a dude is coming to you with something, and this here is something as far as that accountability goes, when it comes to women, and men have the problem too, but right now we just talking about it like this. When a man or a woman come to you with something, it's about making steps to bettering yourself or changing the behavior. It could be your weight, like Terry just mentioned, right? If it's something simple as your weight, and I've always told women on my page, I can work with a woman that's working. I can't work with somebody that's not, because they don't see the problem. They don't see the problem in what they are doing or how they are doing it, so they'll never change anything. But somebody that sees that and takes that accountability on themselves to try to change and make moves towards it is somebody that you should work with, because they'll do the same thing once you all get further in the relationship.
That SD, I just want to piggyback off of what you said about 85% of men don't really say nothing unless they really got something to say. I think most of that is because they don't want an argument or have to face that type of confrontation. Because you bring something to a girl's attention, then next thing you know, you're in the doghouse the next couple of days, and most men just don't want to deal with that.
Yeah, how you gonna tell her that she gaining weight?
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating with just about anything that a guy does where a woman, where it's a criticism of her, where you come to her with something that she's doing that's creating a problem. There ain't no right way to do it because we see it. They'll complain about your tone. They'll complain about your delivery. They'll find something to complain about how the message was delivered. And so for what you were mentioning, a lot of guys don't have the communication skills to be able to correct what the accusations that she made. The basically you saying this, you know what I'm saying? Like they have ways of monopolizing your argument time where you correcting mistruths instead of actually addressing the point at hand. And so that's what a lot of guys try to avoid.
Terry, quick question for you. So like what's a situation when you're dealing with your wife, how do you approach it? Drop a couple of jewels for the married men or the guys in relationships that's listening here.
Man, I mean, I'm very candid. I when I have conversations with my like SD was saying, I don't have very many complaints. So when I do have an issue with something, I'm always able to sit down and explain exactly why I have an issue. You know what I mean? And so we can usually come to some type of compromise, or just a lot of times it's an additional step. You know what I mean? Like one example that I can think of that was recent is sometimes you know how all the stuff be swiping your card and all that. Well, yeah. My daughter's gym be going overboard, so my wife pays all her gym stuff through her Cash App, so she can like lock the card and all that. Well, I don't really like seeing Cash Apps out of our joint account. You know what I'm saying? Like so. But the compromise is she sends the screenshot of what she paid with the Cash App. You know what I mean? Like, so when I can see, okay, $250 from the account, you send me the screenshot of the $250 cheer payment. So that little screenshot step was the missing ingredient to give me the peace of mind that I need to see the transaction. So, if you have mutual respect, you should always be able to come to compromises like that.
So you saying if she gaining weight, don't just leave little Ozempic pills around the house?
Well, that's the one, I think one of the most difficult. That and complaining about sex. You know what I'm saying? Like those are two like hypersensitive subjects to discuss with women. And so I don't really have no when it comes to a woman's weight, you can't be fat. You know what I'm saying? Like I can tell you to start there. Like you always say, lead by example. If you want your woman to, if you have a problem with her weight, you need to make sure that you are either in shape or you have a workout regimen that she can see. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to be sure. Like that's what leadership looks like. And so if you just fat as hell and you complaining about her being fat, then you got an issue. She got a right to have an attitude with you. But when a guy is putting forth the effort, hey babe, work out with me, let's do some sit-ups, let's do this, and she refuses everything, then that's where it's going to be a detriment to the relationship long term.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, man. Looks like we are up against the clock. We're about to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to be getting into the topic of tonight, Times Have Changed, where we're talking about how the emergence of technology has impacted dating and relationships. Y'all are tuned into the Ho to Husband podcast. We'll be back in a minute.
Hi, I'm relationship coach and author Terry Duran, and I am pleased to announce that my book, It's Not That Complicated, is finally available as an audiobook. So if you don't like to read, or you just don't have time to read a paperback book, this audiobook is perfect for you. You can listen to it while you're in your car, while you're at work, etc. In the book, I break down how husband material men think and operate in regards to sex, love, and relationships, and I provide real quality insight on how husband material men approach dating. The audiobook is available on audible.com and on iTunes. All you have to do is go to one of the websites and search for my name, Terry Duran. Go download your copy today.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Ho to Husband podcast. Tonight's episode is titled Times Have Changed. We're talking about how the emergence of technology has really impacted dating and relationships. So the first thing that I wanted to ask y'all, like, back when y'all became adults and y'all were seriously dating women or whatnot, what did successful dating look like?
Man, successful dating. Let me think back then.
I think back then.
Man, toe sucking by like the third or fourth day. Hey man, listen. I mean, success was getting the GTD, getting the draws. That was success back then, right? So
Well, yes.
I mean, we used to go out, me and my guys, all my guys, we would go out like to the malls and stuff like that and just try to talk to women every day. Now our success rate was probably 10%, but you take that. You know what I'm saying? If you talk to 10 women, I mean, you know, you take it. It's all right for you and you 20, 21, 22, you know what I'm saying? So that's what success is to a young dude in this whole phase. Anything else is a failure. Let me tell you right now, I take you out on a date, I don't get no neck or I don't get to smash your guts in, I failed. So that's what it was.
Well, see, I always looked at it as being able to convert. Like any dude, you know, back in the day, to even have any opportunity at getting sex, you had to be out and about. You had to be outside. You had to be at the bar or at the whatever spot was jumping, the skating rink, the bowling alley, whatever the case may be, because you that's the only way that you're going to, one, see attractive women and have the opportunity to shoot your shot. Now, obviously, church, school, and you know, for a lot of people, work. A lot of people frown upon that, but that's where most people's romantic encounters come from. But that's because those are the people you spend the most time around. But yeah, the biggest difference that I can recall from that day is having to actually walk up to women, you know what I'm saying, everywhere you went and initiate conversations. Go ahead, Jay.
No, but you know, like you know, back then, you know, this is what the 90s and you know early 2000s. You know, we didn't have smartphones, we didn't have social media, we didn't have none of that. So you had no choice but to go out there and actually talk to the women. Otherwise, if you didn't do it, otherwise you weren't gonna get none. So for me, success was getting a woman's stage numbers and probably trying to hit it within those first couple of weeks or so. Like one strategy I would have, I would do like SD, go to the malls, or I would post up on college campuses. Those are the 1-2 things that go out Friday and Saturday.
He said dating, so I'm like, hey, once we start going out, that's different. But when you talk about just like, you know, approaching a woman, like, man, there was nothing better than approaching a woman and getting her number. Like, I would talk to so many women a day. And it became like a thing. It's like anything else that you practice repetition on. The more you practice it, the better you become at it. Talking to women, understanding them, replying back, being witty, being funny, whatever the case is, in order to get the phone number from the chick. So that type of stuff, man, when you become good at it, it becomes addicting. And then, you know, it's a lost art nowadays when you in the social media smartphone era, because now, man, you actually approach a woman and know how to talk, and they're flabbergasted by you. They are impressed. Like, wow, a dude came up to me and actually said something and asked me for my number. Like, it's amazing how times have changed. So go ahead.
But you know what? I think with the internet nowadays, it's kind of taught, you know, the guys, I would say, to not have game, because pretty much the average 20-year-old grew up right in the middle of the smartphone and the social media era. So most of their exchange would do DMs and text messages. They didn't actually have to go out and actually be social with them.
Yeah, everybody got game in DMs.
Yeah, and I mean the art of the heart-to-heart conversation is definitely lost. I don't think a lot of guys in this generation could hold a conversation with a chick for 2 or 3 hours. You know what I'm saying? Where y'all just laughing, joking, topic to topic. You know what I'm saying? Like creating inside jokes. Like there are a lot of nuances that men really enjoyed. You know what I'm saying? And those are the things that separate you from the other guys. Because my philosophy when I was single was, especially the more attractive the woman is, like thinking about the competition involved, I want to be who comes to mind when she's thinking about having fun or having sex. And so if I can create that through our conversation where she looks forward to talking to me again, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how you get your messages returned, because I'm only shooting my shot at attractive women. So
Yeah, I mean, maybe every now and then, you know what I'm saying? You see
take
one
one for the
outside
team.
and you be like, I'll do it.
Hey, they say you campaign enough, you bound to get elected there.
Yeah, tell me about it. So I get it and I understand it. So
and one of the things that I hear, or a common theme, or something that I've observed, is it seems like there are less and less women that are actually dating or looking for men for love or real reasons besides money. You know what I mean? And so I think that creates a wedge between the guys that want to shoot their shot, you know what I'm saying? Like would shoot their shot, but the perception, especially if depending on how she looks and how she dressed, is gonna be all about money.
man, listen. So many of these chicks trying to finesse, yo. I mean, yeah, you're supposed to be able to provide and all those things, and a woman should be looking for that in a man, a provider in a man. But when all they about is the money, man, they are easy to spot. And you got to be careful as a man too, because some of them can pretend very well. It's like a guy pretending to get sex from a woman. Some dudes will pretend for years just to get sex, and bang, he out, he got it. It's the same thing, man, when you talk about women in marriage or getting with a dude to try to finesse him. Man, they could play the game very well. So now we live in a finesse culture when it comes to the women and getting money from men. So you have to be careful about who you dealing with, why you dealing with them, and really vet them well. And the women have to be the same way on the opposite end, because they value their bodies and sex more. Well, they should, more than men do. So they have to be careful on that end. Yeah. So Jay, what was you gonna say?
Yeah, I was gonna say, unfortunately, in this day and age with social media, we live in where a lot of these women just see a man as for monetary value and are trying to finesse them, and the men have to see through that and kind of filter, because the women realize that once that man takes them to Pound Town, once they're getting sex on, a lot of times the man's brain is shut off. So the red flags that they otherwise probably would have seen in any other situation, they don't see it once they're getting sex on a regular basis. It's a lot of times just once they're not getting sex, they start seeing it for what it is there. And can't slack off there, man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's always a bad position to even come from, because since high school, I always thought, man, you gotta consistently have at least one chick you smashing regularly. You know what I'm saying? Like you got, at least me, you know what I'm saying? That was always my goal. There's only a couple transition periods where I was, the cupboard was dry. But I wanted to talk about how in today's society there are less people that are actually modeling what relationships look like. You know what I mean? Like you see less couples even out and about. You see less, like there are less married people in the office and things of this nature. So it seems like the single vibe is kind of the overwhelming mentality. It's in the songs, it's in the mentality. Nobody's really talking about love and trying to look for love that much. It's more about linking up and what can I get out of this real quick.
Yeah, man. Hey, man, when ain't no more Jagged Edge, ain't no more Drew Hill, Beauty is her name, or Meet Me at the altar in your white dress. Joe, lately I would cry for you. You ain't got that no more. Now these hip fools talk about take me to Pound Town, booty hole brown, and you like, whoa, wait a minute now. You ain't got none of that love music no more, and there's a lack of love out here. Like you said, it's the singles thing, and people don't have really good examples outside, like in a personal life, especially in our community. Most of these people looking up to rappers and their girlfriends. and that's what they trying to
Or they
model their
baby mama.
relationship after.
Not even girlfriend.
Or they baby mama, because they on TV getting the TV deals, and they the ones getting the rappers. So now they on social media talking about, I see this why I won't settle. Yes, you will. Like, I don't know what you thinking, but I don't know, and again, that comes from the lack of the parents or aunties or having that positive example. And so then when you do get people that's in relationships and nobody has taught them or groomed them, because you used to be groomed way back then. You used to be groomed as a child to be with a man or with a woman. Now they are groomed to be by themselves, mainly in our community.
But you know what? You know what, SD? I'll tell you why. That's because, unfortunately, we have a disproportionate amount of single mothers raising these women to not need a man for nothing. And well, back in the day, they were groomed to be wives because there was a mother and a father, and they were
in the house.
Them to be a wife to a man, not just be a woman there.
Man, do I want to touch on that? Do I want to ask that question?
Go ahead, SD. What we got here?
Y'all know that there is that black men are married out the most. Do y'all think that?
That's not what the narrative is, though.
What you mean?
I mean, you're talking about the rate of the rate of marriage among black men is among the other groups, correct?
Yeah, like interracial.
Gotcha. Okay.
Oh no, I didn't know that's what you were saying. No, I thought you just.
Yeah. I figured
black men that were actually married.
I mean, marrying
outside the race
and the white women. Yeah. Do you think that that plays a huge part in it, like the lack of us not being raised to be in the family dynamic, and being raised to be quote unquote wives and raised to be more independent, that plays a part into it, and
Absolutely.
Social media feeds into that narrative, and thus is hurting our community as far as that goes with the black on black marriages?
Yeah, I mean it's a gumbo of reasons why. I mean, black love is the only love that actively has something fighting against it. No other racial groups have to deal with white supremacy and the repercussions of slavery on our people as a whole. The perception that black men are bad fathers and can't provide and all that is largely a reflection of how black men were portrayed in the media and the position that they were placed in due to slavery, where white men were the providers and protectors for their families, but it was very evident that black men were not in a position to protect theirs. So I think I try not to really get into that kind of conversation on my page, because we already talk about a powder keg conversation, but I didn't want to kind of just target blacks. You know what I'm saying? Because the dating problems or the dating issues, it impacts everybody, but it does impact us disproportionately.
The most. Well, absolutely. And it's not just, and I want to make this clear, it's not just the women, it's the men too. Because you have a lot of young boys not growing up with their dads in the home, so they're more effeminate, and the women are looking to the men to be leaders and all these different things, and the men have no clue because they haven't seen it. You know what I'm saying? So it ain't just on one end; it's on both ends where people are where we're fighting or pushing and pulling and all of this here. But I think the men have a little easier time dating out than the women do. So.
Yeah, I want to just touch on what both of you guys said real quick, and just to answer Steve's question, I say yes, it does play a part in a sense, but and I agree with everything that Terry just said. I think what it is here, we're up against an agenda here. I think that's what we're really up against. But I want to take it a step further, I think, with some of the men, right? So some of them that do unfortunately grow up in single mother households, some of that is just contempt against their mother. Like, this is a way to get back at my mom, so I'm going to go marry outside the race. That plays a factor in that too.
I ain't never heard that one before.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it can be what they see and deal with Black women, their sisters, their cousins, their mothers, etc. There are some very specific things that you encounter dating a Black woman. But for guys that only date Black women, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to take the good with the bad. But another thing that we have to point out, there are a lot of divisive podcasts out here, man.
Not
There
ours,
are a
though.
lot of I
Facts.
was gonna say that's one thing that I kind of pride myself on is we're different. We actually bring on experts and coaches and have discussions that are for trying to move things forward or push it in a more positive direction. But that's how we even linked up, being guys that were given the real perspective on how men see things, not refusing to pander, even when that's the most lucrative thing to do on social media. Like, so standing on business and telling things how they really are. And for me, actually being one of the people that have been married for a long time, like I feel like I don't even know that many people that have followers and all that, that are genuinely married and been with somebody for 20 plus years. So that's one of the things that I think creates value with our podcast is the different perspectives that we provide and the fact that we actually trying to help people in school,
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see them, a lot of podcasts as being divisive because let me tell you, there will be the women will call every male podcast divisive, but they praise every female podcast that talks about men. They praise it. We know it. So I don't really see divisive. I see two sides that have lost an understanding for each other because both sides have lost their way and their purpose and their role as men and women. And when you lose that way, and you got the women trying to take over and becoming more masculine out in the workforce, doing their thing, taking care of themselves and all that, and then you got the men on the other end becoming more feminine, not really doing a whole lot, not trying to do this, don't want to lead, don't know how to lead, but they still desire the opposite. They still desire the opposite. The women still desire the masculine man that's the provider and protector, and the man still desires the feminine woman that's a submissive, homemaking, nurturing woman. But they haven't been trained or conditioned or groomed to be that. So I think that the podcasts that are out, some of these podcasts and some of these people, a lot of them are trying to correct what's wrong. And a lot of people don't want to hear what's wrong. So they take it as being divisive because I can tell you right now,
that's a good point.
Yeah. Kevin Samuels was not divisive, but they hated him because they thought he was. The man was all about marriage and not having kids out of wedlock and trying to get you to understand your true dating market value so that you can get married before you have a kid and all these different things. It wasn't divisive. It was trying to get people in line because I'm putting me in it too because I'm out here in the dating world. We as people are out of order and out of our natural position, and we don't understand it even though we want the other person to be in their position. So to me it's not divisive unless it's straight hate.
I guess the only ones that I would say, I guess maybe divisive was a bad word, but they create toxic conversations, like the ones where they only bring on thoughts and ask them like marriage questions. You know what I'm saying? Like so it makes women look bad by the responses that they give because they say something silly that goes viral and all that. So that's what I mean by divisive, because when Shade Room or somebody posted, now it's creating, like it's creating an argument in the comments instead of a productive conversation.
But you know what? I see both sides of this here, right? I think two things can be true at the same time here. I think you do have enough podcasts out there that are pushing one is going far left, there's another one that's going far right. Now you have platforms like this here where we're looking to bridge the gap here, and there's plenty of other great platforms out here that look to do that. the ones that try to bridge the gap don't get enough, credit or don't get enough shine. Stuff like this doesn't get posted on the Shade Room or Spiritual Word, right? It's the ones that's pushing one agenda or the other that gets posted on that one. And then, just so people are going and forth in the comments, and that's the purpose of posting those type of things here.
Man, pandering. That's what gets posted.
It's a profit center.
That's what the
go
women
viral.
love. They want to
Yep.
hear the pandering and that men is the problem and they're queens and they do nothing wrong and God got somebody for them out here and all that old nonsense, man. That's more divisive. Let me tell you, hold on. That's no. That type of stuff is more divisive than anything.
Oh, absolutely.
Because it don't cause any self-reflection. It don't cause any accountability. It don't cause you to do any work on yourself. So you come out here with your toxic ways, your toxic mentality, your toxic thinking, your toxic way of behaving out here, thinking that you should get the top of the top person out here. That pandering is way more divisive than somebody saying, "Hey, sweetheart, you ain't all that you think you are out here. Men don't want this or men don't want that." That's the truth. That type of stuff right there, when it comes to the majority of men and that the husband material men out here, that type of stuff that stings you or that might hurt you a little bit,
that's what you need the most.
That's not divisive, but it'll get you shamed and called names more than anything. Whereas they'll praise the one telling them that they queens and they didn't ask too much. They just asked the wrong man for it. That's the divisive stuff.
And they don't realize how that hurts them. They don't view that. They don't view that nonsense as hurting them. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't count the number of times I've been told you hate women and you against women, and it's like, right? We go out of our way to link up with these relationship experts, bring them on our podcast so you can hear them for free because we hate y'all. Right? But that makes a lot of sense.
What's the irony? It's funny you said that they're saying that you hate one, but these panderers out here that's pandering to what women want to hear, playing that emotion. They're the ones that hate women. I mean, they have nothing but contempt towards these women. That's the crazy part.
They hate them because they using them. They really pimping them for the money. But see,
for the bread.
Pandering to women is like it cripples them, right? It's like a kid in high school that's good in high school playing basketball, let's say. Yeah. And people always give his coach don't tell him nothing wrong. He give him praise. Oh, you're great. Oh, good job. Oh, this and that. Oh, this and that. And he never works on his game. He stays stagnant. He stays the same. And it tends to, typically, that young man will not make it to the NBA. He will not reach his dream if NBA is his dream. Why? Because he stayed stagnant. And he probably won't make a college team past his first year because he stayed stagnant. That all that praise, all that pandering, all of that stuff crippled them so that they didn't work on themselves. They stayed, hey, I'm good. That's where I need to be. It's the same thing in the relationship world. If all you listen to is pandering, you will stay the same and repeat the same process. And what do we have out here? We got women talking about 10 dudes that cheated on them. We got women talking about 10 dudes that dogs. They ain't none of them no good. Ma'am, you got 47 bodies and none of these dudes was good. None of them.
Yeah, but you point out her decision making, her choices. Now you
divisive. Yeah, now you divisive. Now you the one that's got something against women. You a misogynist. They favorite word that they don't.
Yeah, I was gonna say, they throw them buzzwords around, man.
Mm-hmm. You're a narcissist.
Yeah, I mean, it's sad that we're the social media and the technology has created a place where these conversations follow you everywhere you go. You know what I mean? Like, so you have to be conscious of what you're tapping into and who you actually follow. And the problem, though, is the people that study social media and design these algorithms, they study everything from what you look at, how long you look at it, what your, like where the buttons and all this is placed, and what shows up on your news feed. And so the fact that the people that are actually trying to help y'all, the people that are actually telling y'all how husbands think, how men that want to be husbands operate, that I can't count how many women block me or unfollow me or whatnot, because my content ain't what they want to hear. And so until you get mature enough to realize that in life, the things that you don't want to do are usually the things you need the most.
Yeah.
I don't want to wake up in the morning and exercise. I don't want to eat, you know what I'm saying? Like the things that you don't want to do, that's why it takes discipline to actually do them consistently.
Yeah.
Man, looks like we are up against the clock. So we're about to get up out of here. But before we go, man, I want to give another shout out to my man, Brother Soul Productions, for keeping us laced with the background music. I want to remind y'all to continue supporting the podcast through our Cash App and our PayPal. J and SD, want to say thanks to y'all for linking up so we can get this episode knocked out. This has been another episode of the Ho the Husband Podcast. Y'all, thanks for tuning in. Peace.